So hello everyone, I'm Sayali Kale, I'm one of the co-founders of Cracku, and with us we have a very distinguished guest today. So thank you Amit Tyagi for taking out the time to talk to us. He's the Senior Associate Director at ISB. He's the Head of Admissions for both ISB PGP and ISB PGP YL programs. So thank you sir so much for taking out the time to talk to us. We have a lot of questions about the ISB PGP YL program, and a lot of students have a lot of doubts. So we hope through this session that we answer all of those questions so that students know exactly how to prepare and apply for this particular program. So, sir, thank you so much, firstly, for joining us.
Always a pleasure to interact with the students and ensure that they have all the right data set to make the right decisions to join a program. So always happy to be part of this.
Thank you, sir. So we'll first start with the vision behind ISP PGP YL. So, sir, can you tell us what was the vision, why this program was started?
So ISB PGP YL has is a program which is designed for early needs of early career professionals. It's a program which is going to build next generation of leaders or professionals who will be working in a fast paced technology intensive businesses going forward. Hence, this program is a rigorous research backed program, keeping in mind the needs of people who are just graduated or with less years of work experience. In this program, we have a layer of tech, data, and analytics incorporated in all elements of our or courses of our program. The idea is that business leaders of tomorrow will not just be grappling with problems of business, but they also need to have a strong understanding of what technology, data, and businesses, how they affect technology, data, and analytics, how they affect their business decisions, and accordingly they can make better decisions if they understand these three things. So that's one of the key components of this program per se.
So earlier there used to be the ISP Young Leaders Program, YLP. So that has been changed, that has been discontinued, and instead we have the ISP PGP YL. So can you explain why that shift was taken?
Sure. So the PGP YL program was essentially a deferred admit for people who wanted to get into the PGP program. So they would get offers right at the offset in the undergrad colleges or after they just graduate, and they had to work for 2 years before they could join the PGP program. Now, these are people who are very aware of what areas they want to work in eventually. And a lot of them want, the feedback that we got was, why should they wait for 2 years to get into the areas that they want to work in? And they wanted to shift to business roles earlier. And hence this program has been, replaced by PGP YL, which ensures that people who want or who are very clear at the onset that they want to be in management roles, in the management field of management, they can join the program right after the graduation or with less years of work experience. Now, the key advantage here is that we can give them that experience as well in terms of giving them that holistic learning experience, the exposure to an organizational working through various projects and so on and so forth. So that's the reason we have moved on from YL P to the PGP YL, which is a natural extension of people who want to start their careers in management early.
Okay, sir. So, sir, can you take us through the selection process? I know it's a long, holistic process as such. So, can you also tell like what was the reasoning or thinking behind it and what the process is like?
Sure. So at ISB, we believe in holistic evaluation process. We believe that any student is not just defined by one of the components in their profile. We want to look at candidates holistically across various parameters, be it their acads, be it their test scores, or be it their thought process, the clarity, and so on and so forth. So in this program, when we select candidates, we look at a lot of things. We will not reject a candidate basis one parameter alone, or whether it's your CADs or a test scores. What we do is we look at a combination of your test scores, your academic profile, which includes your 12th scores, your undergrad CGPAs, your undergrad degree, your experiences through your essays, your test scores, and all this is converted into a profile score. And shortlisting happens on the profile score, not on the individual parameters. So what this does is this gives the candidates a chance to balance their profile. Let's say your acads are not stellar, but you've got a great test score. You still have a great shot at the PGP YL program. Vice versa, you've not got a very high test score, but everything else goes in your favor. You still have a great shot at the PGP YL program. So we look at your essays, your interviews, your test scores, your acads in totality to take a decision on your suitability for the program.
Okay, sir. So one thing that you mentioned, which is very distinctive about ISB's PGP YL admission process especially, is the essays. So can you give us some idea about the essays? What exactly are you testing for? There are 3 essays that somebody has to write. So what should a student remember while writing that?
Sure. See, all the 3 essays that we have designed as part of the selection process test a few things about the candidates, or we're looking at few evidences of a few things in the essays. If you look at the first essay, it's a leadership essay. We're looking at leadership potential through your experiences. So here, I'll advise candidates to showcase specific instances where they showcase leadership potential. I'm not saying leadership designations. It's not about designations. It's about initiative. It's about influence. It's about how you motivated people in your maybe a project to achieve towards a common goal. If you can showcase those evidences, I think that's will serve you well in your first essay. The second essay is all about diversity of thought. We're looking at what experiences you have undergone in your prior journey, academic or otherwise, so that and what you bring to the table in terms of learning in the classroom. So showcase instances where you have acted differently, where you have showcased unique experiences that you have felt. That's a second essay. The third essay is purely in terms of your aspirations and motivations. Why, what are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? How does PGPYL fit into that? So that's the third essay which we are talking about. Now, for all these essays, what I'll suggest the candidates is that this is not a test of your English language. It's a test of your content. So be specific, be authentic. That's what we want you to want to see, and this will test it not just in the essay evaluation but also in the interviews. Essays play an important role in the interview evaluation as well. We'll deep dive into your responses. We'll try to understand what you are as a person, how authentic you are, how honest you have been in your experiences, and what you bring to the table inside the classrooms. So I'll advise candidates to be authentic, to be honest about their essays, and be specific. Don't be general about essays. Your essay should reflect yourself, and it should not be a generic essay which can fit anybody else as well.
Okay, sir. So one thing that is a bit distinctive about PGP YL program is that it has freshers from 0 to 2 years of work experience. So it is a fairly diverse set as such. So can you tell me about the diversity that is there? There are currently 130 students. So can you tell me about how diverse this particular cohort is, and what exactly are you looking for students? What should they bring to the table?
Exactly. See, the diversity comes from a holistic evaluation process. So, the process is so designed that we attract candidates from different walks of life, different academic backgrounds, prior experiences. So, if you were to look at some diversity elements, if you look at work experience, 32% of our graduates come with no work experience. 68% come with some level of work experience, although the average work ex in the classrooms is around 11 months expected, given that it's a program for less than 2 years of work experience. If you look at the men to women ratio, it's 50% women and 50% men. It's a ratio which you'll find rarely in any other top B school, not just in India but also in the world. If you look at engineers to non-engineers, roughly 47% of the cohort is non-engineers. We have people from different backgrounds. In terms of work experience, 13 industries are represented in the cohort. We have people from different academic institutions as well. We have people from IITs, we have people from NITs, SRCCs, the BITS, people from the DU colleges, people from St. Xavier's, and it's a diverse cohort. The idea behind the diversity in the classroom at ISB has always been that you learn not just from your faculty members in the classroom, but also from your peers. And that's what the case study learning is all about. You learn from the experiences, learn from the mindsets of people who come in with different experiences than yours in the classroom. And that's all the diversity is about in the classrooms.
Okay, sir. One important question that is there in a lot of students' minds is that, can I get into ISB? What is like the CAT score I have to get or GMAT score I have to get? Firstly, for a lot of freshers, the fact that they have 3 exams itself is a big thing, because it's otherwise it is one exam, you fail that, you wait another year. So can you tell me a bit about the fact that there are 3 exams and how much score is needed for each of these exams for you to actually get a shortlist from ISB PGP YL?
Right. So we have, you say 3 exams. So it's any one of the 3.
Yeah.
It's a choice which we have offered the candidates. It's not that you have to look at all 3 of them. You can opt for any test which you feel comfortable with. Of course, with CAT, as you mentioned, comes once in a year. With GMAT and GR, you have that option of also reattempting it if your days, if you had an off day on the day of the test. So from our point of view, we are test agnostic in terms of which test you take. Not in terms of not taking the scores, but in terms of which test you take. You take CAT, you take GMAT or GRE, we are perfectly fine with it. What I usually advise candidates is that, you have those mock tests which you have, which you do when you prepare for the various tests. So once you, before you start the application process for any B school, take any of those mock tests, decide which one suits you best. There are nuances to all the tests, as you might be aware. GMAT has, one of the tests is quant on the heavy side, one is the verbal on the heavier side. What suits you best, decide on the test, and we are okay with that, as long as you meet the criteria that we have set for those particular tests. So any test is fine from our side. You take CAT, that's perfectly okay. With CAT, the advantage is that you just apply with your registration number, and we get the scores directly from the CAT body. With GMAT and GRE, the advantage is that you get multiple chances to improve your score if you have not got your target scores. So any test is fine with us. Now, if you look at which test gives you advantage, none of them will give you a direct advantage because we normalize scores across all the tests. To give you an idea of the test score ranges, for CAT, 99.1 percentile was the average score for the cohort which is currently in the campus. Although it's a wide range, so we look at a holistic profile of the candidate, so we don't filter you on the basis of CAT scores. So we had a range of 96.17. That's the least with which somebody has got into the cohort, and highest was 99.96. So that's a wide range. And I know a lot of people in between who have not made it with even high test scores because of the holistic evaluation process. We look latest tests on essays and so on and so forth. If you look at GMAT, again, there's a wide range there. 625 to 765 is the range. Although 685 is the median score for the GMAT. For GRE, 319 to 336 was the range, and 328 is the median for the score. Now, for candidates, I'll advise that these are ranges of last year's cohort. This may change this year, although you get an indicative idea of the ranges. Always target a score which is within the range or at least closer to the median. You can always balance your profile according to the various parameters that you're aware of with the target scores that you might want to get in those tests. But always ensure that you don't give undue weightage to test scores. Also take into account your other parameters while applying.
So one more doubt a lot of students might have is that are there sectional cutoffs for any of these particular tests? Because there are students who have a good overall percentile but not great sectional percentiles. So what about those students?
No, we don't have sectional cutoffs for either GMAT, GRE or CAT.
Okay, that's excellent news for a lot of students. So one thing that I wanted to know was about the whole admission process, because if somebody has a weaker test score, can they balance it with a good interview? And what is how is the overall decision taken?
Right. So if you look at the evaluation process, let's start from the beginning. There are 2 rounds of applications that we have for the PGP YL. Round 1 is usually the second Sunday of December. Round 2 is this year is 22nd of February. It's the again the last Sunday of February that we look at for the round 2. Now, whether you apply in round 1 or round 2, your chances are equal. We don't have any seats allocated for round 1 or round 2. It's a cutoff based system that we use while shortlisting candidates. Now, what is a cutoff, or what are the scores? Let's come to that. Now, every candidate, when they apply, once they complete the application within a particular round, let's say you apply in round 1, the deadline is 14th of December. After that, we'll take some time to verify your application and mark them complete. we will give you chances to complete your application in case some document is missing, in case some information missing. We'll reach out to you, give you 3-4 days to complete those. And then once your applications are completed, we'll evaluate those applications from a profile score point of view, which is a quantitative evaluation, where different evaluators, senior evaluators will evaluate your parameters, your ACADS. ACADS will look at your 12 scores, will look at your undergrad degrees, undergrad university, undergrad scores, and we normalize them as well. Because as you might know, in India, a lot of universities have different score ranges. A VIT may have 90% as a median, while a Pune University may have 70% as the highest, for example. I'm not sure that's a case, but for example. So we do moderate the scores accordingly as well. And then we come to your overall academic profile. Right, that's one component of evaluation. Then we look at your test scores, and that adds certain weightage to your profile score. Then there are elements of your activities, or internships which you might have done, or any other position of responsibility that you might have done. Anything which showcases leadership or problem solving, or your innovative or entrepreneurial mindset, and so on and so forth. And then we look at essays, right? And of course, there's a letter of recommendation, which is a third-party validation of your skill set. Somebody who you have worked closely with, they'll validate your skill sets, and all that combined becomes a overall profile score. Now, profile score, there's a cutoff on the profile score above which we call people for interviews. The panel will interview the candidates, and the interview is purely from an aspiration and a motivation point of view. What we look at is how aware you are about your current skill sets, how aware you are about where you want to go, what are your short-term goals, what are your long-term goals, and where does ISB, PGP, YL, or MBA in general fit in. If you connect the dots between these three things, I think you should be doing well in the interview. Now, we add both the two together to get your overall score, and that determines your chances of an offer, scholarships, and so on and so forth. Now, certain things that we look at in the whole process. What I talked about was how the process works, but what do we look at in the candidates? We look at a few things. We look at evidences of leadership potential. Now, a lot of people, when I say, come back to me and say, I have never been part of a leadership role, I've never been, secretary of my college club or head of my college club. It's not about designation. It's about, leadership intent. It's about motivation. It's about influence. It's about how well you have been able to motivate people around you, whether with a designation or without, with an informal, with a formal authority. Second thing that we look at is entrepreneurial and creative mindset. We look at people who may have had startups or worked in startups. People who may have published research papers. People who may have patents to their name. Anything which showcases your creative or entrepreneurial mindset, that's a plus. So you can incorporate that in your application, in the essays, in the activities, and so on, so forth. Third thing we are looking at is your problem-solving mindset. How critical, how well you are able to think critically, how well you are able to solve problems, how well you are able to structure problems. So here the examples could be a project that you worked on. How did you go about solving that project? How did you go about solving problems in your CADs or at your workplace, at your internships, and so on, so forth. So those are the few things that we look at in the candidates. And what I'll advise candidates is think from these lens and incorporate those evidences in your application, in your essays. That's how will help us make a good decision about your candidature.
So we had like a very good chat with many of the students over here. And what I actually felt was that they showed a lot of initiative. Some were freshers, some had work experience, but they had a lot of initiative in the terms that some had started up themselves, some had worked at startups, some had been student leaders. So there is a diversity. There are some who are complete freshers. There are some up to 2 years of experience. So is there an advantage for having work experience when it comes to the admission process, or work experience is not directly counted as a plus?
So there's a yes and a no to that. The no is that there's no direct advantage in the point system for if you have a work I won't say that if you have 10 months of work experience you get 1 additional point, or if you have 2 years of work experience you get 2 additional points. It's not that. But having worked in an organization gives you certain skill sets if you certain learnings which can be incorporated in the application process, which could indirectly give you certain benefits in terms of showcasing those skill sets, showcasing that maturity in the application process. That's how the WorkX is beneficial to candidates. But otherwise, since it's a 2-year program, when we interact with corporates say that anybody below 3 years is considered as freshers by them. So 2 years, we don't give any points for the WorkX, but it definitely helps for people who have, got exposure to a workplace, and if they can showcase those skill sets indirectly or directly in the application process.
So this is something that's basically a student question which I come across a lot of times. For a lot of freshers who have taken a gap year, does that negatively affect their chances? And what exactly, if somebody has taken a gap year, how would you view that student?
Yeah, so see, from the evaluation point of view, the quantitative evaluation, we don't view gap years negatively. We look at what you have done rather than what you may not have done, or gaps in your profile, and we understand that gaps are now very tend to be common per se. People do take time off for travel. People do take time off for preparation of entrance examinations. People do take time off for a lot of other reasons as well. So it's perfectly fine. There's no harm to a gap year in that particular evaluation when we do the application. But when you have an interview, people will be naturally be curious to know why there is a gap and what were you doing in that gap. The answer here is that you should be honest about the gap. You should have your narrative about what that gap year taught you, or what skill sets you had that gap year. If it didn't anything, be honest and authentic about it. It should not be a problem. But what I'll suggest is, don't be defensive about it. Gap years are very common for students now, because there are a lot of entrance examinations students aspire for, aim for, and 1 year gap I think a lot of people do have. So that's not something which will be very focused on in the evaluation process. But definitely have an answer ready for the interviewer.
Sure. So we'll come to the summer internship process. So the summer internship process has been successfully completed for the first batch, and it has had you have had many stellar companies come in, and 47% of the batch has been placed in consulting careers. So, sir, can you tell us what has been the experience like, and in terms of having so many consulting companies come in, what exactly is the what has been the industry feedback also about the students?
Sure. So, summer internship is an integral part of the PGP YL course structure. Incidentally, we have not talked about the course structure, but I can quickly brief about that as well. It's a 20-month program, and it's currently offered only at the Hyderabad campus. And in those 20 months, the first year, the students have 3 terms where they undergo the core curriculum. The idea here is to expose students to various aspects of functional understanding of organizations, working in teams, and of course about how organizations function. So all the courses are so designed that they get an understanding of how a firm operates in its entirety, and also how we work in teams in organizations. After the first year is when we have the summer internship. And summer internship is an opportunity for students to get real life experience, especially for those who have no work experience, even for those who have come with less years of work experience, to get to understand the roles that they will eventually be working in, the organizations that they eventually be working in, and also to firm up their career paths when they start the second year. Because second year is when you have your career pathways year, where students will be taking electives. In that particular year, you will be students will be taking 18 odd electives roughly, and which will determine what career concentrations or pathways they end up with. So we have 6 pathways, as we call it, for students of PGP YL. If we have strategy, we have operations, marketing, finance, entrepreneurship, and IT management. So depending on what electives you take, that will determine your career pathways. Summer internships are an important element in the program for students to understand their aspirations and then choose their pathways in the second year. So there's a primary purpose from our point of view for the summer internships. But of course, summer internships also are avenues for students to eventually opt for placements, or what, as we call in the B school parlance, the PPOs, for students to choose them if they understand the organizations that they work in those 2 years and understand the roles that they work in 2 years. Now, coming to the summer internship process for the first year. For the first year, we already had a lot of engagements with our corporate partners for the internship process. We also looked at a lot of newer corporate partners, people who would not earlier recruit from ISB because of a lack of internships, where a lot of companies are recruit through an internship. So that has been the effort towards the summer internships placements. And as you rightly mentioned, 47% of the cohort got placed into consulting, and that was also by virtue of the choice of the candidates. And of those 47%, a significant chunk went to the top MBBs, as we call it, the McKinseys, the BCGs, Bain, where Accenture, Deloitte, PwC, and others, as well as hiring, for the from the cohort. But beyond consulting as well, we had very strong placements in finance. Around 19 to 20% of the cohort chose to be in the finance sector. We had companies like Axis Bank, Swin Investments, Jeffries, and others who hired for roles in finance. And that's a trend which I foresee to increase in the coming years as well, because of the internship aspect that we have now for these graduates. We had another around 12 to 13% of people going into marketing, ITC, HUL, Wakefit, and others who hired for marketing roles. And then there were, of course, general management roles, the Aditya groups, and others which offered summer internships. So in short, if you look at the summer internships, average salaries for the cohort were around 3.2 lakhs for the 2-month internship, which is, considering the fact that they're all less than 2 years of work experience, a good achievement for the first batch. I think it shows the quality of the cohort that we have been able to attract for the first batch.
Excellent, sir. One thing that actually stood out for me was that many of the students mentioned that they had a lot of alumni support during their preparation process while preparing for the summer internship process. So can you tell me the support that you give to the students, both the institute as well as the alumni support for the summer internship process?
Great. I mean, you touched upon the alumni. Maybe I want to digress a bit here. LinkedIn does a survey for the past 2 years, bases the alumni achievements of various B schools worldwide. And last year, we were ranked 6th in the world, basis the achievements of our alumni and the real world impact that the alums created at ISB. This year, we're ranked 5th. And it's not just a testimony to the achievements of our alum community, but it's also a testimony to how close knit our alum community is. So whether it be for PGP and now for, of course, YL, alums play a very important role in terms of preparing the students, in terms of how the school interacts with the cohorts and so on and so forth. So if you look at our interview process, we always have alumni on the panel. For PGP, now it's a established program. The panel comprises of alums. For PGP YL, we have an alum as well as senior faculty members as part of the panel. From there, we start the interaction, and that's the first step where students interact with alums. And going forward, every opportunity, alums give back to the cohort in terms of various workshops that they do, the various interventions that we do. The alum community organizes resume workshops. Alum community organizes networking sessions. Alum community also organizes career sessions for cohort to understand what different careers entail. So a lot of people come in with the mindset that I want to go into consulting, but not all of them would understand what consulting entails or what iBanking entails. So we have alums coming regularly to the campus to have those workshops with students. That's one avenue to prepare the students for the placements for the PGP YL. Of course, for the PGP we've been doing for many years. Another avenue, of course, is the career advisory services that we have. So at ISB, we have a unique structure of placement teams, as people call it in other other schools. We have what we call career advisory services. The job of the CAS, as we call it, is not just to get placements for the students, but they have 3 different verticals. First vertical is about preparing you for the placements at ISBs. The second vertical is the business development team, which works out of 4 offices to build relationships with almost 1,400 accounts worldwide or organizations to bring them to campus. The third vertical is one which does the actual placement process on the day to ensure that it's a fair, unbiased process for the students per se. And CAS team organizes around 350 odd sessions every year, for YL and PGP included, in terms of ensuring that they are prepared for what careers they want to do. It starts right from the second week when they come to ISB, about understanding their aspirations, guiding them in terms of what career pathways they should choose, putting them in various workshops and so on and so forth. So a lot of work goes behind the placement, not just for getting the companies on campus, but also preparing the students for various
So you
interviews.
have touched on something which is very distinctive about ISB, and a lot of people have praised it. Given that many other B schools have student-run placement communities which have a lot of infighting and issues with it, you have chosen a CAS process with like faculty. I have heard a lot of positive things about it, sir. So can you tell me a bit about how that helps in maintaining fairness, maintaining ethics in the summer internship process?
Yeah. So we believe that students are here to study and upgrade their skill sets in the classroom, outside the classrooms, through various activities, and that's what they should focus on. We have a professional team now. It's almost 20 people strong, which does all the placement work. Of course, students have what we call the career advisory council, where they can interact with the placement team, give their inputs, give their suggestions, give their aspirations, and the CAS team works on those suggestions. But actual execution is in my team of professionals. This ensures that there is no biases among the student community. Rather than 4 or 5 people working in the placement community and then following their classes,
Yeah.
we want them to learn from here and let the professionals do their job. And this also ensures that nobody has any vested interest in terms of their placements and so on and so forth. Nobody can say that because of somebody I could not get into another this role or that role, because it's a purely fair and transparent process. And fairness and transparency is the cornerstone of all the processes that we have at ISB.
Okay, sir. So can you give us some insight into the second year of PGP YL program? How would the second year students, what would their life look like?
In the second year, students will be taking electives. So some of the electives, or most of the electives, would be custom designed for PGP, while some of them would be common with PGP, because things remain the same. So it could so happen that PGP while students and PGP students are in the same classrooms in the second year, and those electives which they take will ultimately determine their career pathways. So although summer internships happen in the first year, and some of them might get placed even before they come to the second year through the PPOs and other routes. But those electives that you choose will determine what career pathways eventually you end up with. It may so happen that you can, and there's no compulsion on anybody to choose any particular career pathways. You can choose any courses. If you take 6 courses in one area, you kind of tend to have a concentration in that particular area. But you can take any courses that you want, any classroom that you want to, in terms of your learning and so on, so on and so forth. In the second year, we also have what we call the pivot lab. I will not talk about the lab. Lab is learning in action, learning through action in business lab that we have set up at ISB, which for our full-time programs ensures that people get experiential hands-on learning in the programs. Now, for PGPYL, the lab has 2 interventions. First is in the first year, which we call ideas a project, or what we call innovation through design, design exploration and actionable solutions. So this is a project which is sourced by the lab team for students, where students work with a live project with an organization while also undergoing the classes at PGPYL. And in this project, the focus is more about students, working in the field, student understanding the customers in the project, and collecting data and working on data and coming up with solutions. That's the first year project. But in the second year, we have what we call the pivot lab. Now, pivot is platform for innovation and venture-oriented thinking. This is again compulsory for everyone. It's not, although the name suggests that it's for people who want to be entrepreneurs. Yes, it will be very helpful for them. But this program aims to cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset among the cohort, PGP YL cohort. And in this particular project, or in this particular intervention, people will be working on innovative projects, or working on trying to have build something from scratch. So that's the second year intervention that we have. Apart from that, in the second year, the students also have access to block weeks. Block weeks is a very innovative concept that we have come up with recently on in both PGP and PGP YL. Block week is a week in which you will study one full course and nothing else. But the caveat is that that course is taught not by an industry lead, not by a faculty member, but by an industry leader in the classroom who is currently working in that particular area. Since they can't come to take classes or long duration of a term, they come for a week, teach a complete course, evaluate students to various methodologies, and complete it in 1 week. That's a block week for you. Let's say, for example, somebody from HUL coming and teaching you marketing practice, somebody from the PE world coming and teaching you mergers and acquisitions. So that's what block week is all about. The third thing is what we call study treks. Study treks are focused exploration trips to various locations in India and abroad, basis on the interests and aspirations of students. So it could be a group of around 20 to 50 students who could be traveling to, let's say, Singapore to study the operations ecosystem in Singapore. We could be, or recently we had a study trek in Saudi Arabia to understand the innovation ecosystem there. We had a study trek in Bangalore. We had a study trek to understand rural entrepreneurship in Orissa. So those are the things that students can expect in the second year at PGP YL.
Okay, sir. So one more big aspect of the second year often is the exchange programs. So, sir, can you tell me a bit about which of the exchange programs, which universities you have partnered with, and how does the exchange program work?
Sure. So we have partnerships with 50 plus universities currently, and by the time the current set of students come in, it will expand significantly beyond that as well, because we keep adding partner universities for student exchange every every year. Now, students can go for exchange the second year. After November, December, the placements will be done by that time, and a lot of colleges have a lot of partner institutions that have a lot of flexibility in terms of when they accept students. For some colleges in Southeast Asia, Japan, Korea, they accept students around January, so they can also continue studying beyond the graduation dates here at ISB. There are others in Europe, North America, and so on and so forth. So we have colleges like Wharton, NYU, Darden. We have colleges like HEC Paris. We have colleges like University of Tokyo in Australia. So across the world, students can opt to study a term or two abroad as part of international exchange. Now, in international exchange, the idea is that you go there and take electives, which expands your choice of electives, and we complete we consider those electives as your completion requirements at ISB for the term that you are away from here, and what your courses that you took there. And of course, it's also a great opportunity to understand the culture of a new place and a new institute, and understand expand your horizons. That's the exchange program. How do you get into it? It's all based on a bidding system. We want to ensure that there are no biases there again for students. So students have to choose basis certain points which are allotted to them at the beginning of the year. You have 1,000 points, and you bid those points for various things on the campus. For example, a very popular professor coming and taking a class, we can only take 30 students in a class. Then you bid for that if there are more than 30 students. Similarly, if you want to go to HEC Paris, or you want to go to Kellogg or some other institution, you bid higher points. So that's how the process works.
Okay, sir. So, sir, one aspect of which is like a big deciding factor for a lot of students is the total course fees. So, can you give us insight into how much fees would be there for the program, as well as what are the financial aids offered? What is the financial options that students have?
Yeah. So for PGP YL, program fee is 21 lakh 65,000. Along with that, the total cost of accommodation on campus for 2 years is 3 lakh 95,000. There's a GST component to it, and there's a refundable deposit a part of it. The total fee comes to 29 lakh 60,000 odd for the 2 years all inclusive. Of course, it does not include your cost of living expenses on the campus, your laundry, your travel, and so on and so forth. And also, it does not include the cost of student exchange. So if you go for student exchange, you have to arrange for your visas, your flight tickets on your own. So that's the total cost, around 29 lakhs, 60 or 5 odd thousand for including GST. Now there are various options to finance this program. First, of course, is the scholarship. We have scholarships across merit cum need, scholarships where students are offered scholarships based on their performance and selection process, based on their family incomes, and so on and so forth. Another option is bank loans. So we have types with almost all banks in the country, or PSUs, private sector banks. You look ICICI, HDFC, SBI, Axis. So in fact, we have an Axis SBI branch on campus as well. And I'm sure any student, if they go with the PGPYL offer letter to their own bank branches, they'll get a education loan at very attractive terms. With as far as I know, up to 50 lakhs are no collateral required, or there's no guarantor required. There are moratorium periods for students after they graduate as well. So it's very easy to get an education loan basis on ISB offer letter. So I don't think that should be an issue in financing your program through IL.
So one more thing is that there's a staggering amount of scholarship that was offered last year for the PGPYL program. I am it is an excellent step from your institute. Can you tell us more about the amount, the conditions that were under which it was offered?
Sure, sure. So we offered around 7.5 crores worth of scholarships roughly last year for PGPYL alone. And of course, we offer significantly higher number for PGP students as well. For PGPYL, roughly around 30 to 40% of our students received some sort of a scholarship or other in the last cohort. And this year, the idea is the same, to have more number of students receive scholarships as part of the process. The idea behind the scholarships is to ensure that people who are meritorious have excellent return on investment on their study at ISB. People who have a family income below a certain threshold are able to pursue their dreams of pursuing the ISB PGP YL. Now, if you look at the scholarship criteria, there's merit scholarship, which is purely on the performance in the selection process. This we talked about the composite score, the profile score, the interview score. Higher up you are, higher your chances of a scholarship in the merit scholarship. You don't have to apply separately for merit scholarship. For merit cum needs scholarship, we have various bands. So if your annual family income is less than 8 lakhs per annum, you're guaranteed a tuition fee waiver of up to 75% to 100%.
Oh, okay.
So you apply for it through an essay. You give your documentation of your family income and other details. And once you get an offer, within a week of you getting an offer, you'll have a scholarship interview. And depending upon the outcomes of interview, you will have scholarships of 75% or 100%, depending upon the outcome of your scholarship interview, for people with annual family income of less than 8 lakhs per annum. Now, there's another band of people between 8 lakhs to 20 lakhs per annum. For such people, the quantum is up to 75% of tuition fee waiver. Minimum is 25% of tuition fee waivers. So, again, depending on the outcome of the interview, you get up from 25% to 70% of tuition fee waivers based on your interview and, of course, your merit and need.
That's excellent, sir. So, sir, you have a very beautiful campus over here. It's a massive campus, and also it has a very vibrant student life. So, can you tell us a bit about how student life is at ISB PGP YL?
Great. So, student life at ISB is governed by what we call the Graduate Student Board. So, students have a lot of say in what kind of experience they have on the campus through various positions that they can stand for. So, the graduate student body has a position of president of the student council. There are marketing and communication council, student life council, academic council, the finance council, and so on and so forth. So, the council also has various clubs under them. So there are professional clubs, there are social clubs on campus. The idea is that students learn not just in the classroom, but also beyond through various activities. So students organize various case competitions to the clubs that they are part of. They organize, events. They organize the Net Impact Club that we have organizes events in the social sector, and so on and so forth. So this gives them an understanding of how to hone their organization skill sets, managing resources, working in teams, and taking decisions. So, and this also is a very important learning component beyond classrooms for students per se. So that's the student life that we have. For PGP YL, currently they are all based on the Hyderabad campus. So they are not split across the two campuses. For PGP, we have 800 students, so 400 are here in Hyderabad, 400 are there in Mohali, and both of them have their separate student boards, graduate student boards. So this ensures that they learn not just in the classroom, but also from each other through various initiatives on the campus.
Okay, sir. So can you tell a bit about the application deadline? What are the important dates that students should know?
The application deadline for PGP while round 2 is 22nd of February. Now, for people who are applying through CAT, you can just apply through your uh, CAT scorecard and now for round 2. And for people who have applied in round 1, we'll get your CAT scores directly. But for people who are applying through GMAT and GRE, you need to have your scores in hand while applying for the round 2 deadline. And the latest date you can take your test is on 22nd of February. So as long as your test is on 22nd of February, you can apply with an unofficial score. Beyond 22nd of February, you will not be able to apply for this year's application. You'll apply for next year.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. One last question. Is there any advice that you would give to any student who is dreaming, hoping of getting into ISB PGP YL? What advice would you give to that student?
One simple advice is to be authentic in the application process. The application process for PGP while is holistic. We look at honesty or authenticity in the process. Give weightage to all aspects of the application. We have seen in the first year that a lot of people had very high test scores, but they could not maybe translate that into the other aspects of the application. So give weightage to your essays, to your clarity of thought, to your interviews, and be in sync with your application in the interview. That's one key advice I'll give to the PGP while people who are applying. And of course, don't self-reject yourself. Balance your profile and then come to a conclusion based on with the test scores and other parameters that you have and apply to the program.
Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you so much for talking to us. It has been a very illuminating conversation, and I know for a lot of students, this would make a huge difference to their thinking and the way they are going to approach ISB PGP YL. Thank you so much, sir.
It's a pleasure having you here, and always a pleasure interacting with students and solving their queries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.